have the same energy. What I mean by that is like, as I learn how to ride my bike and I'm excited about that, should be the same type of energy I feel when I learn my sight words. Right?
Gotcha. I'm gonna leave you right there because we're gonna come back.
I'm sorry,
to Mr. Phillips.
I went too far.
We need the financial literacy to be able to finance the entertainment, so we can get them. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Wayne Phillips, and I've been a financial advisor in this community for a little over 28 years now, and nothing starts without financial literacy. If you look at anything that's going on, any problems, anything that's not a problem, it's always follow the money. If you follow the money, you get to the root of all issues.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't know how to make that money work for you, you're going to keep working for it. So financial literacy is all about teaching you how to make your money work for you.
I saw something the other day, and it was on TikTok. The gentleman was on it talking about financial literacy and financial competencies. And he says, going to college does not make you rich.
No.
He said that learning to manage your money and having financial skills and financial competencies makes you rich.
It makes you rich.
Yeah.
Going to college just gives you a skill. Lets people know that you're trainable, that you can learn. You know, but in terms of getting rich, you got to know what to do with your money. You got to have those habits.
You said the key word, trainable.
Yeah.
You just become trainable because generally when you start a job, they teach you what they want you to know in order for them to continue to employ you.
Yeah. So that degree shows that you're able to be trained.
Yeah.
That's what's a requirement.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So mind you, Brother E, I want you to kind of piggyback on what you were talking, because we were talking about, I went to a conference in New Orleans, and a group that was there was called Schoolhouse Rock. And I remember that when I was a kid. It's like the Bill. I'm a Bill, only the Bill, sitting here on Capitol Hill. And then you had Schoolhouse Rock. I mean, there were so many phases of it. And at the time, I hadn't thought about the word edutainment. But what it was entertaining and it was educational at the same time.
Yes, sir.
And that's the piece as a superintendent that in my head and my heart, I know that what we are missing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. This studio is a unique experience for our children every single day. But once they leave here and they have to go back to a traditional classroom, and he could probably answer this question, if I posed it, that literally they go into a different mindset because it's an old antiquated system.
Yep.
So go ahead and touch on some of the things that you're doing. And I'm gonna get back to Brother Phillips as well, because it all ties in together. You don't have edutainment without finance. You have nothing without finance.
Right. I think you spoke on one of my main goals of this whole movement that I'm trying to just keep pushing with, is that how you sang the song about the bill. You didn't hear that song yesterday, right? You heard it years ago, but it stuck with you.
Exactly.
And that is the whole goal. I just would think back when I was a kid, and I would remember the Family Ties intro or commercials. It was all put to music.
Yeah.
And with the vintage PBS, and that's what now it's called vintage, the CBC shows, the Alphabet People, all of those things, I gravitated to it because of the music.
And you just said about alphabets. Most people cannot say the alphabets unless they're singing.
That's it.
If you started the alphabets from X, Y, and Z or went in reverse,
yep,
many people can't do it.
Exactly.
Because they only remember it, with the melody of the song.
And a lot of times we're introduced to so much learning through songs, and then it's just like a hard stop.
Yeah.
And it becomes, like you said, kind of sterile. And I just want to, I'm not inventing anything new. I just want to continue to electrify education in different formats. And with multimedia, it's so easy now to create. And my goal is to put it out there enough so that students or young people can take the format that I'm doing and start to almost teach or train the teacher, where I can take what I'm learning and remix it the way that I want to hear it, or the way that I would want to teach it or give it out. So
the way that my mind is thinking, with both of you all sitting here, that's a perfect marriage. Okay, because when you start talking about that of edutainment and finance, but with children, you have to put financial literacy and developing financial skills. You have to put it in a format that they're going to remember it.
Mhm.
And then once they remember it, then they begin to carry out the actionable steps of the process in which they remember. So I'm hoping that I'm putting a marriage together as we speak in terms of financial literacy and edutainment.
And I think, you mentioned that I'm just a bill.
Mm-hmm.
The one that sticks out with me is that conjunction junction.
Mhm.
What's your function?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And with financial literacy, we have to begin teaching our young ownership. We have to think of everything instead of being the consumer.
Mhm.
We need to become owners. We need to look at things like our children. We instead of wearing Jordans, we need to be owning Nike.
Yeah.
Instead of going to see the Black Panther, which we all saw a few times, made who a lot of money?
Yeah.
Disney.
Right.
So we should have had Black Panther watch parties and Disney buy parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we changed the game.
And that's the piece. But that is a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
What I know for a fact, for the last 100 years, the first $1 million that was given to a school board by Nelson Rockefeller. Okay. This was in early 19th century. And he stated in his chronicle, I do not need a nation of thinkers.
Yep.
I need a nation of laborers and doers.
Yep.
And when you say that, you're talking about an assembly line.
Mhm.
You're talking about working for someone else to the day that you die. Okay, from birth to the day that you die. Okay, I know he made multiple visits to Tuskegee University with George Washington Carver. Okay, and the original idea of the lines in the plant was the original idea of how George Washington Carver planted his harvest, because it was easy to go up and down those rows to pick whatever you were harvesting. Okay. And that's where the original premise came from. They became close friends as George Washington Carver got older and he couldn't go up the stairs. Literally, Henry Ford built an elevator for him in his house as a point of appreciation. But everything that we're talking about and the people that we're talking, the financial piece is a embryonic piece that is in the early stages in every household and every family. Let me say this, not household, but every family. You got 2 or 3 people, that they're entrepreneurs. They can't work for nobody else.
Right.
They were born with that unconquerable spirit, but children are like this table. They're like a blank sheet of paper. They become whatever you write on them. So if you write on them early entrepreneurship, if you write on them early financial literacy and actionable steps behind that, we will have generations of individuals that will become that and begin to shift the landscape of all people. And that's, for me, is a part of the NGR, Next Generation Readiness, beyond the CCI Center and all these other. How do you reach in the households and change trajectories for the next 50 years that will turn into 100 and beyond that, instead of it's okay when you need assistance to be on government assistance, okay? But it ain't good to stay on it for a lifetime.
Right.
It's just not.
Right.
And I can't put it any other way. And I don't care who agrees with it or disagrees with it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to start at a point, but you can't end at the same point, because that's no movement.
Right.
You have to have a trajectory. And being financially inclined and financial literacy and having those skill sets, that's primary and major, So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I really do agree with seeing how we could collab, because I work in elementary school also, and I always say all the best programs, sometimes it seems to go to the middle and high school. Sorry about that. The middle and high school. And just like you said, I always come across, sometimes it's the quiet students, sometimes it's the very boisterous students, but you can tell that they're not going to be on somebody's line. They're not going to be an associate to anything. Like, they have a spirit of an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that having programs or being able to even just open up or write on that empty slate of a child, you know, giving them that information at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old is essential, especially in our community where we just, now I think it's the perfect time too, with just the industrial boom, like everything is growing and everything is moving so fast. I think that now just empowering the youngsters to be what we can see, but they don't really even know is possible.
I think, you know, it was about a month ago. I think I talked to some second graders out here, and I didn't know what I was going to say to them, being that they were just, you know, 7, 8 years old. But we talked about ownership at that level. We talked about Disney and Nike, and, you know, and I gave them an assignment. I don't know if anybody did it. I said, when your parents ask you, what did you learn in school today? Tell them you learned how to get rich.
Yeah.
I said, that should get their attention.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they said, well, when they ask you how you get rich, tell them ownership. And tell them you want to buy some stock.
Yeah.
Tell them you want to take your money, instead of buying your next pair of gym shoes, you want to buy some Nike.
Yeah.
And just when your birthday comes, you want to buy stock. Tell them you want to buy stock. And we went through, why do you want to buy stock? For ownership. Yeah. By the time I left out, you know, what you want to do? Buy stock. Why? Ownership. Buy stock. Why? Ownership. And we did it with, of course, things they could recognize. Half the kids had on Nike gym shoes. Everybody saw the movie Black Panther. Everybody knew Disney. You know, so that's how you begin to slowly change the mindset by giving them things that they can understand, touch, and appreciate, and just changing how they view it.
Yeah. That's saying that, you know, we would rather raise children than repair broken adults. That's primary. You know, and now that we know, so when you know better, you got to do better.
Yes, sir.
And we have to start at the early ages. It's nothing. I mean, if you can operate these iPhones and these Androids and all these laptops, better, literally, right?
The womb.
Right. They can comprehend it. You know, it's just we can't continue to minimize what we think they can do.
Yes.
It's better to fill their cup up and let the cup overflow versus that of filling the cup halfway up and leaving it halfway empty. You know, and that's really my premise of the NGR piece for me. You know, many times when I get with my colleagues, I know I sound like an activist, you know, but you know, in being an activist, you have to activate something in people in order to move forward. You really do. And sitting in rows in traditional classroom, the term that I used when I was in New Orleans, that's educational malpractice.
Yes, it is.
You know, because, you know, as professionals, you know, we're better than this. But what's happening is that the funding is tied to traditional means because they haven't opened their horizon enough to ingratiate what's next and add dollars to it. You know, so people don't want to walk away. One of my colleagues there said, man, you know, it's funding in failure. You know, it's fun. You got to think about it. You know? It is. So we have to move beyond that because other countries have moved beyond that. You know, and we're in direct competition whether we want to or not. You know, so the merit. So kind of tell me some of the things, some of the places you perform, and some of the things that you know focus on during your performances.
Okay, I just recently did a literature fest with Great Start Readiness. We were over at Durfee. It was a great time. We had an opportunity to really just have an experience with the families. The age range was 2 to 8. And we just really, I did a bunch of learning songs. I did some repeat after me stuff, just some things that really just get kids excited. And the outcome from that was really like the kids were asking and the families were asking for more. And that's the whole thing, like with my movement. I have 4 kids. And before I started this, I really started this not just because of something that I wanted to do, but because I became a father.
Mhm.
And some of the songs that they were listening to, it was cool to an extent. But I wanted to listen to some things that we could all enjoy. Still kid appropriate, but it's something that we could all enjoy together as a family.
Right.
That's when I came about with my math mixtape, where it was something that families could listen to in their swagger wagons.
There with you, so
Yeah,
their segment of that. That's cool.
their
Right.
minivans and the trucks, whatever it is that you're driving in. And I've had parents, grandparents come up to me and say how much they enjoy listening to the math mixtape just as much as a kid. So the performance was a family, the whole family mosh, where the families were dancing, the families were moving just as much as the kids, where I had Jet Masters come. I did a song where it was counting to 100, and I did it to like a jit type beat.
Right.
So they were performing with me. It was just a great time.
Excellent.
Also, I partnered with the city of Detroit to create like one of my lifelong goals, which is a children's show, kind of in homage to the vintage PBS. So we've won some awards with that. And I'm just looking forward to, I have some projects in the making where I'm just really looking to really explode with this edutainment, especially from Detroit. We're like the home of innovation, music. It's just so much that's in the soil.
I can see you all collabing and with together with Finance, Brother Phillips, and yourself, Brother E, collaborating, and you all putting something together from a video standpoint with music that kids are actually traveling to a bank to open up their first checking and savings account. From there, they signing off on it, but then you go into a segment and start talking about stocks and bonds, and and it's a video, but it's also the music that's aligned to it that will keep their attention and start learning that process. It's just it's imperative.
Yes, sir.
Hey, that'll be phenomenal.
I'm down like 4 flat tires.
Hey, if 30, 40, 50 years from now,
yes, sir.
Just like we still remember Conjunction Junction.
Yeah.
It's time for that.
Yeah.
And we need that because it sticks with you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And when it sticks with you, it becomes a part of who you are.
That's it.
And like Superintendent said, we got to train them while they're young versus trying to fix them while they're old and grown.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's very hard, man, because people get into habits, and those habits become crystallized, and they're hard to break.
You know what I hear hundreds, maybe thousands of times? I wish I'd have started this when I was younger. I wish I'd have known about saving. I wish I'd have knew what stocks were. I wish I'd have known about my 401k. I wish.
What here, and I'm here. What are your thoughts of a 401k versus that? What is that? An IUL?
Two totally different products.
Yeah.
Two totally different purposes.
Okay.
And depending upon the situation, it may be room for both.
Okay.
So I don't like some of the stuff I see out there on TikTok where they're serving this IUL as the end all be all and the only thing you need to be doing. A lot of that's misleading because your situation might not fit that one.
Right.
And there is no end all be all to any one product whatsoever anyway.
Right.
But in the right mix, an insurance type of product, and I won't just say the IUL,
right,
because there's other products that could fit even better situations, maybe even better.
Yeah.
But
at least they asking questions.
At least they're asking. Something is better than nothing.
Right.
Now. After that, then you start zeroing in. Now let's find out what's the best for a particular situation.
Right.
Is it IUL? Is it variable universal?
Right.
Versus index universal?
Okay.
Maybe, so just exploring those options. It's always good to explore the options.
Something I also saw as well, they were talking about upon the purchase of a house or condo, that it's best to put that into a trust. Is that true or not, or what? Or is that situational as well?
Again, situational. Now, why you may want it in the trust may be to help pass ownership down, because a lot of times those deeds are left in the individual's name, and upon their death, now that house has to go through probate.
Yeah.
You know, and again, if we understand ownership, we can learn how to avoid probate.
Right.
You know, we don't want anything in probate if we don't have to, and there are ways to avoid it as much as possible.
Right.
So,
Right.
in those situations, trust ownership may make sense, but again, you have to look at things on a case by case basis, and don't just think it's a one fix trick and that's going to just work for everybody.
Right. 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 So believe it or not, did we start late? Did we start maybe about
We're on time.
we went like, is it an hour or is it 30 minutes?
We got 30 more minutes.
30
It's
more.
over.
Okay, great. I'm thinking like it was just 30 minutes. Okay, so we still got time. So Brother E, so mind you, and so you generally concentrate on elementary, or do you do elementary and middle? Have you done anything at the high school levels or what?
I haven't done anything for the high school as of yet. I have worked with high school though. So with my last episode of the Mr. E show, we partnered with DSA.
Okay.
And what they did was they got an introduction to the production of a live show. They did some of the writing, they did some of the graphics, they practiced with the kids, they gave advice of what they thought. So we really wanted to almost submerge them with an opportunity to actually produce a show. And that show actually, we won an Emmy off of that show.
So tell
Yeah.
yeah. I saw that in the bio.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
So the Emmys that we won two, they're the regional Emmys. So there's the United States is split up into chapters. In each of those chapters, they have Emmy awards. So we won in the Michigan chapter. There's a lot of categories, but it's heavy with like news, documentary, things like that. But they have a section for children's and in the arts and entertainment. So we won 2 times. We were nominated 4 times, and we won twice. Yeah.
Can I ask you, when you went through the different roles of production,
Yes, sir.
did you explain to those students over at DSA what all those production roles are in terms of, and I guess I'm coming back to the money,
Mm-hmm.
to say, you know, what's the difference between a producer and an executive producer?
Exactly. Yeah. So it was light because at the time that was when we were all quarantined. So we used technology to still be able, we had our meetings over Zoom and all that stuff. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So but they did with each person. We had our artist, we had our writer, and then we had our producer. And we went into the Zoom rooms, right?
Right.
And they broke down the job descriptions and what they do. I don't think we got into the part of pay, which is something that I would love to do. And we're working on something. It's in the works. I can't really talk, but that is what I would really want to do, is expose kids to the future. And a lot of times the future is not far, because there are kids that are doing it right now and they're getting paid off of executive producing their own materials, music videos, all types of stuff, but just opening their minds to what could actually come.
And when you do that, the difference between a producer and executive producer, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, is that executive producer is more of the capital funding, and also takes a bigger cut of the pie.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
You know, so when we watch the credits at the end
Yes.
of a movie or show, and it says executive producer,
They're usually first.
Yep.
They're usually first.
And then you have everybody.
Right.
and those producer credits are just, okay, you might have helped put a song together, you know, so in production.
Yep.
But that executive producer is really where the money's at.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes,
I just
it
want
is.
to say,
Yeah, and literally they get a percentage of everything else. They get their percentage and they get a percentage of everyone else.
Yep.
You know, that's why when I noticed, like with Steve Harvey or Stephen A. or whatever, or Cedric the Entertainer, individuals, they will start bringing their family members into it. You know, they're the executive producer, and then a mom or a brother, whomever, is a producer.
right.
You know, they're keeping it in the family.
Yeah.
you know, and
Those
they're
residual
getting their
payments.
percentage,
Yeah.
right? And then also they're getting residuals.
Mhm.
You know, it's just like stocks and bonds, you know, but it doesn't go up or down with the market. They're getting residuals every time that show airs.
Yeah.
You know, be it 20 years from now,
Yeah.
it pops up just like royalties.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest thing, and pretty much in music from years ago is that many artists could not own their masters in order to own the royalties that you can get from songs that you have composed and performed. That usually stayed, you know, with the industry itself. Yeah, for sure. So no, it does tie back. You know, so in finance, and you been in front of a lot of elementary school kids or kids in different schools throughout your career?
More high school than
Mhm.
elementary. And hindsight's always 20/20 vision.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd have been in front of more elementary students.
Yeah,
You know, because we got to get them while they're younger.
yeah,
We got to get them while it's they're easier. You know, where they're more fashionable.
yeah.
You know, in terms of saying this is how they're going to be molded and grow up. They're going to remember that. We have those habits of saving.
Yeah.
You know, we have, like we were talking, you can't fix men broken habits from grown folks.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, when if you're in a family and there's no savers in that family, you're not going to learn how to save.
Exactly.
You're never going to
Right.
learn about putting money away. You're going to be rushing to the mall, getting the fresh gear and looking fly on Friday night, but wondering how to pay your bill on Monday morning.
yeah.
You know,
And
versus
that's
if you're in a house of savers,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to learn to put your money away first and then spend
Yeah.
what's left.
Yeah.
You know, we got to get in the habit of saving first.
Yeah.
You know, once we develop a habit of saving, then we have to get let them know how to save and where to save.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, if you can't save, everything else doesn't matter anyway.
It doesn't. It
So,
doesn't. When
I
you
wish
start-
I would have
Yeah,
doing
I
some
mean,
younger
literally.
early.
Like I used to watch my dad on Sundays. He had these long yellow notepads, man, long like this,
Mhm.
and he would do all of the bills. He would always slow down when he got the DTE. Beyond the mortgage, the DTE bill was the biggest.
Oh, those
Yeah.
are two.
Those are the two right
He
there.
had to get his breath.
Right, exactly. But you know, my dad passed about 2 years ago. When I was looking through his stuff about a month ago, I looked from 1969
Mhm.
all the way up to about 2020 or 21.
Wow.
Okay, of him writing bills out.
Wow.
Kept logs of it. You know, this is what's left. Then he had the red line for, you know, you can't go past this amount. You know, so that's kind of where my training came from. But if you don't have that within the context of your household, it's almost lost.
Yeah. It's crazier now too because we don't have to go to the mall. We can
No,
just click
just
everything
click
online.
right from
Right.
our
You
phone.
can go right here at
Ready to
Amazon,
go.
whatever it is,
Yep.
and lose all your money.
All quick.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
Now, what we have to do with that legal pad that your dad used is the first bill that should be paid is you. And that's how I've been successful with helping people break the pattern of not being able to save. Say, treat yourself like a bill,
Mhm.
you know, because people figure out how to keep the bills paid.
That's true.
Mhm.
You know, how to juggle this or juggle that. But you have to treat yourself like a bill and make sure you're the first bill that's paid. You know, normally we think about the mortgage first.
Yep.
We think about DT next. We think about the car note after that. Then, you know, we got this laundry list of other bills. And then we'll save from what's left.
Yep.
But if we get to that red line that you spoke of,
Yeah.
you know, that red line pops
Yep.
up. Okay, I'll get to saving next month.
Right.
Or I'll get to saving next time. You know, we mean to,
Yep.
but we don't prioritize ourselves. So it's about the prioritization of where we fall as we pay everybody else.
Yeah. And next time never comes.
Never.
Never comes. Then something pops up.
Yep. Always does.
You know, what are those places? What are those places called? With, they have the predatory lending. And what is it called? They give you money before
check
you
cash
check.
and check cash and
Yeah.
prices and all. Yeah,
Man.
pay their loans.
Oh man. Okay, my mom did that 2 or 3 times. My dad was mad as all get up.
Yeah, those payday loans, is all those things. The other one this time of the year is getting your refund check back. You know, we'll get it back fast. Get your refund check back in 24 hours.
And they get a percentage.
And they get a percentage.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't wait 2 weeks.
Mm. Wow.
And what happens usually in those situations? We're not running to the mall anymore, like you said.
Right.
But we are getting on the clicker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Exactly. Malls are becoming a relic of the past.
Yeah.
It's only a couple of them that's open in each state, you know, and they're more for entertainment than they are for purchasing items, you know, because you can get it right off the internet. You can go wherever and purchase it, and it's delivered to you. Amazon, they'll get it to you in 24 hours.
Yeah.
You ain't got to think nothing about it. Well, that's with food, you know. I mean,
So
whoever
all
would
those
have
things
thought.
we should be telling our kids to
Yeah.
buy.
Yes.
Amazon's available for purchase.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And even just thinking about it from a kid's point of view, when everything is so microwavable and we have this concept of saving, that it seems so much of it seems like a long span of time, but just teaching the importance of, you know, waiting and patience.
Teach milestones.
Yeah, milestones.
Mhm.
Milestones.
Yes, sir.
And if somebody's never saved before,
Yeah.
the first time they get $500 or $1,000 saved, it's like, wow, I just got $1,000
So
saved.
now I got to spend it.
Well, in most cases, once you get there, you're not trying to fall below anymore.
Okay.
That red line.
You know, you're like, oh, I got 1,000. I'm not trying to go below that anymore. So now from 1,000, your goal becomes 2,500. You know, from 2,500, $5,000 and $10,000 and 25,000. You know, so we keep those milestones, and typically now you develop that habit. You know, like Covey tells us about how to develop a habit. You know, 21 days. So if we can hit those milestones and keep pushing that limit out, you say you get to a point to where saving is really just how you operate. And from that 5, 10, 25,000, 50 to 100, now you have 100,000. You're not trying to go back to 50.
Yeah.
Because probably, you know what my job besides making money grow?
What's that?
Make sure people don't lose it. Because they hit those milestones.
Right.
Yeah.
They say, hey, Wayne, grow this money for me. But I'm at 100 grand. I'm not trying to go back to 50.
Right.
You know, I want you to get me to 150, but I'm not going back to 50.
Right.
Right.
You know, so that's how it works. But if we don't have those milestones, don't develop those habits, you know, we stay in the broken social economic conditions that our community's in.
Yeah.
You know, which I know this at the end of the day, it all edutainment, education, financial literacy, all is about breaking that pattern.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. You know, just breaking in religion, they talk about breaking yokes and things of that, but it's just breaking bad habits that have just been perpetuated, you know, from generation to generation, you know, which is the piece that we have to get away from, because we pass it along to the next generation, to our children, then we wonder why, you know, we are, as a people, are not advancing like other cultures.
Right.
You know, and I think when doing the conference, when I was speaking in New Orleans, and I likened our culture to that freighter that hit the bridge in Baltimore. You know, it was anchorless. It was nothing there for the freighter to hold on to. When things got bad, it just stayed afloat and just drifted right into the bridge. And the sad thing about it is that when we start thinking about, and we know our culture, people mimic our culture for various reasons,
Right.
but it's not for finance. That's for sure.
Right.
You know, but finance is the only thing that perpetuates a culture, because you have to be able to pass down legacy, ownership, and property. And it seems as if you're starting from zero each time, and by the time you build it, your lifetime is up.
Yep.
You know, so
some of the worst conversations I've ever had, excuse me,
Mhm.
is when I've talked to folks in our community and they said, I've got mine. I'm trying to spend everything I got
before I go.
Wow.
And I got mine, they can get theirs.
Mm.
And I shake my head and say that's, such a sad testament of, and they say it with pride.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to spend everything. I got it, and I ain't trying to leave nothing. Like,
And you're saying that about people that you profess to say that you care about.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's you hear that all the time, man. And crazy it's not just when folks who are older, they pass that along,
Mm-hmm.
to the younger generation. There isn't we're deviating, but it's aligned to finance. It's aligned to education and edutainment that literally we're isolated from culture to culture within our own culture because there's no transition.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that when we start looking at other cultures, no matter what we think, that's the piece you have to recognize and respect because it's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Complete financial literacy includes succession planning
Yes.
and estate planning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that each generation should be stronger and better than the one before it.
Right.
That's when we really are getting financial literacy spread throughout the community.
Yeah. So, you can answer this question. When you start talking about, say, the African American dollar, how long does it stay in our community, or does it stay in our community at all?
It's gone.
Okay.
By the time a dollar gets in African American community, it's gone. And I remember, you look at other communities, and I forget the name of the book, but it was in reference to the Jewish community. This was some years ago. But the Jewish community, the dollar stayed in their community over 21 times. So it's sort of like almost 22 times. So I got the dollar. I bought groceries from you.
Mm-hmm.
You brought gas from Brother Steve, and that dollar rotated around the community. Everybody's touching that dollar.
Yeah.
And everybody's able to eat off of it. And those communities build themselves, sustain themselves, and they have everything they need.
Yeah.
We get something, and you look at Detroit as a city, Detroit metro area. We've got a huge population of Black folks that look like us, but in the city limits of Detroit, we have how many Black gas stations?
0.
There's a new Black grocery store that opened up.
Right.
But other than that one, can you name another?
It's not.
And those examples keep going on. How many Black dry cleaners do we have?
Right.
No.
It keeps going on and on. But these other communities are thriving off of our dollars because we can't wait to go spend it with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
From the party stores, the liquor stores, the gas stations.
Parking downtown.
Downtown is
Listen.
and now that GM is moving out of the Renaissance Center, affordable housing won't be on the waterfront.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
The Gold Coast. I don't even want to, because that's exactly where we moved to. Oh man, I didn't even want to think about it. But that is exactly it. That the African American dollar does not circulate within our communities at all.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a continuation. When you start talking about food deserts and things like that, it's crazy. We use the corner store as a grocery store.
Yeah.
You go on to buy chips and juice and salt and chips and sugar and juice.
Yeah.
And all these other stuff. And as you get older, you realize immediately, especially when you go into the doctor, if you get regular physicals, that the salt and the sugar are the primary ailments to every condition that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we figure it out, it's just too late. You know, it seems like, but when you know better, you got to do better. And for me as a superintendent, for my tenure here, and however long that I have left, which contract is 3 or 4 years, that will be my premise. NGR, next generation readiness, preparing our students for what's next,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and how to be prepared and educated tomorrow, today.
Yeah.
So they have a plan for today after tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a 3-pronged plan for any kid that walks up out of here.
And teach them to support each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In all their endeavors.
Yeah.
I know at graduation, we have 14 kids that's they're working on their real estate license as we speak. Now, I don't know how many of them are going to finish before graduation to take that state license, but I am going to introduce those 14 to the entire graduation class and those hundreds of parents that are there. Here are your 14 real estate agents right here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to look for nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Support your own.
Right.
Twice.
Right.
The African American young adults, they come directly as a byproduct of Harper Woods. Okay, and with licensing, you can service the entire state.
Mm-hmm.
You know, support your own.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. What's wrong with that?
Not at all. I wrote a part in a creed for our school. I plant seeds of positivity that will grow throughout my community. And I just really think about just off of what you were saying, like what would have to happen for us to like remix Black Bottom or Hastings Street?
Man.
You know, is there like a planning commission to say, you know, in the next 50 years?
Well,
75.
Well, 375 is coming back.
Yeah.
It's just not us that will be remixing.
Right.
You know, they're going to get rid of 375 and make it a community again.
Yeah.
And look a lot like what Black Bottom was before they took it out.
Right.
The biggest thing that we need is just a conscientious effort to say we're going to support one another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got a conscientious effort then we say, you know what? It might be out of my way, but I need to go get my gas off 7 Mile and I'm driving.
Yep.
You know, it might be out of my way, but this new black grocery store that just opened up, I've got to go get something from there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to make that a regular spot in the rotation of where I pick my milk up at.
Yeah.
We've got to support him.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
and so that's what we've got to do. It's got to be very intentional. If it's not intentional, it doesn't matter.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Because it's no reason that it's 1 or 2 gas stations like we talked about. It's no reason. There's too many people in the city.
Yeah.
We're not intentional enough with how we spend our money.
Yeah.
So intentionality is what we need.
Yeah. You know, what I have noticed since I have my Othello, my XL bully, there are multiple pet stores I own by African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I think about 3 or 4 of them that I've seen, you know. But and then of course, Livernois is the Avenue of Fashion. You know, it's coming back.
Yeah.
You know, but we have to be intentional.
Yeah.
No more, no less. You know. So we are, gentlemen, coming to the close. We're at about 6 minutes left. First of all, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to come and hang out with me in my podcast. If you have an opportunity on next Wednesday, we're starting the NFL draft precursor events. Will be here. And we're with our esports program, Harper Woods, Sound Mind, Sound Body, and the NFL. We will have a gaming competition here, and it's from 4 until 8.
5 to 8.
5 to 8. Okay, 5 until 8. Just come on back.
That's
through.
crazy.
It's I promise. You know,
Hey, will it be some vintage games? You know?
I don't know. Will they have Pac-Man there?
You know,
Atari.
Pac-Man,
Right.
you know.
Right.
You threw me out when you said vintage earlier. You know,
Yeah.
he called him. He was going to say old, but he threw vintage in
Nah,
instead.
the kids be calling me up now. I'm like, wait a minute, when did I get that title up?
Oh, listen. You know what? when people start opening doors for you, somebody, hey, sir, you know, hey, yeah. You done moved into it.
Yep.
You done moved into it. Yeah, for sure. So I want to thank you all for your time.
Thanks for having us.
And
Yes.
it's been great. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.